Raiders! It's Raiders Fan Radio, a podcast by Raiders fans for Raiders fans who are the only fans that matter. That's right, Murf and Sonny from the Dago Dungeon. You got it right here, live.
Touchdown! Kenny Stabler goes all the way.
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win.
Well, this week, Al, I think this team can win too.
Yeah,
As
baby.
I showed everybody across the world, they are not dead. They are not going away. They are not going to just let the AFC West be handed to the hated Broncos or Chiefs or Chargers. The Raiders are alive and well. They're back. The playoff talk, it's creaking back in the door. Welcome into episode number 52, the Khalil Mack episode of Raiders Fan Radio. I am your host, Sonny Dago. With me in studio, as always, is my co-host, Murf. Murf, how the heck are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It was so nice to see the Raiders get back to their winning ways. And not only did they get back to their winning ways, Sonny, but they did it in the absolute biggest of fashions. You know, I didn't get a chance to watch the game live. My son had his last freshman high school football game that we went to, and so I had the phone off and notifications off. I was trying to ignore everything that was going on in the world with the Raiders so I could watch and be present and enjoy my son's game, which was amazing, and they won their bowl game that they had. And then we got home, and I watched the game recorded. And it took till like 2 o'clock in the morning, man, because that game would never end. And like at one point, I find myself and I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, and I got my mouth covered because I'm going, and I'm trying not to wake everybody up. That was incredible. That was so good. Didn't it feel good to like get excited about? Look, not only just obviously first and foremost, it was our beloved Oakland Raiders. But that was a heck of a football game, man. It was just fun to watch, wasn't it?
This is the game that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Yeah, it was fun to play not a competitive game, because the Raiders were competitive against the Broncos and the Chargers. But it was fun to play a game that, like, we were firing on all cylinders, right? We saw the play-action pass come back to life. We saw Cooper come back to life. We saw the firepower in Derek Carr that we were so used to seeing last year. We saw Todd Downing open up the playbook, right? We saw some awesome things. We saw Derek Carr audible to a quarterback draw on third down with no... Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. But the thing is, Murph, is we saw... At least I saw what I thought the Raiders were going to be doing all year long.
Yeah, bombs away, man.
Yeah,
how about it?
Maybe we saw Todd Downing and Derek Carr saying, all right, everybody's hating on us. Todd, let's open the book. And that's certainly what it seemed like the Raiders did, right? They opened it up. They got Cooper going early. Cooper was, quote unquote, eating all day, as the kids will say nowadays. And we were firing on all cylinders, man. Carr over 400 yards passing, multiple times. I mean, it was beautiful. It was like, okay, this is who we thought the Raiders were, right? This is who we thought the Raiders were. And, of course, winning solves everything, because now that we beat the Chiefs, then you go, oh, man, we almost beat the Broncos and the Chargers. I think we lost by combined 7 points against both those teams. This team could be 5-3, right? Realistically, this team could be 5-3, 5-2. It's not that bad, Murph. I'm off the ledge. It's not that bad.
I don't know, man. Well, hey, all we got to do is lose in Buffalo this week, and we'll be right back on the ledge, though, right? You know what I mean?
I'm never going back.
You know what? I
listened to Third Eye Blind. I stepped back from the ledge.
You know, if anything, here's what I definitely learned this week is that, look, we were Look, it was doom and gloom, right, last week.
We were doom and gloom, yeah.
We were doom and gloom. But rightfully so. When you drop 4 straight and the way that we were losing and everything, it was pretty freaking ugly. So I don't apologize for our response to that, that 4-game, stretch there where we were getting,
we're just
the crap
fans.
kicked out of.
We're just fans.
We're just fans. But here's what I did. I said last week, I thanked the Oakland Raiders for relieving me of the burden of expectation. Well, I thank them this week for rekindling you know what I mean? The faith in that this team can maybe turn this thing around. But ultimately, here's what it is that I feel like I tell myself this every week. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Don't get too freaked out. But that's what being a fan is all about, right? And so you try to temper those expectations and at least at a minimum going forward the rest of the season. I'm going to be excited about every single game. I'm never not. But I am going to try to temper it and not to completely go off the cliff when they lose and to completely, think, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl now because they won. You know what I mean? So I think that it's just let's just keep going, man. One step at a time, work through this season, and it starts this week in Buffalo.
Much like the Raiders are going to be doing, we'll be doing that as well, one step at a time for this show. We got a big show this week, a lot of stuff, Murph. Geez, we have to change up how we do the show every week because it just kind of keeps changing. So we'll hear from Uncle Mark about where you can find information about our show. After that, we have an interview with 2 fine gentlemen, Jim Erie Raider Z-Bach from the Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club and Jay Morse from Salt City Silver and Black Raiders Booster Club out there in Syracuse, New York. They come on the show to talk all about the Buffalo invasion that's happening by Raider Nation this weekend for the Buffalo game. You want to stay tuned for that if you're going to the game. They have hotel information, Saturday night, where the party's going to be at, or where the get-together is going to be at, and then Sunday, day of, where the tailgate's going to be at. And then after that, we got 9 voicemails, Murph. We had, 13 last week, only to be followed up by 9 voicemails this week. You who's listening to this show right now, you are changing how we are going to do our show. If we keep getting this many voicemails, we have to make that a segment. We have to make that an ongoing segment. So it's awesome. We welcome it. Keep the calls coming. It makes it fun for us to know that we're not just talking to ourselves over the interwebs, and it's a good time. So we'll listen to all those voicemails. After that, we got a quick 3 reasons why the Raiders should win, and an even quicker 3 reasons why Murph thinks the Bills are going to win, followed by the black hole of the internet. And then we're out, Murph. Hopefully not 2 hours later, but we'll see how it goes. So before we get into all of that, let's hear from Uncle Mosh, a.k.a. the Raider Hater. Not for reasons you might think, though, about where you can find more information about our show.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. That's right. Somebody actually claims Sonny and Murf. These 2. Check them out on their website, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can friend them on Facebook at RaidersFanRadio, or you can like their fan page at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Hey, I don't tweet. I don't even know how to use a Twitter, but they do. You can tweet them at Raiders Fan Radio. Call them. Leave a voicemail if you want. Go old school. 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Hey, do this. Please subscribe and rate Raiders Fan Radio on iTunes. You can listen to the show on all podcast services like Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many, many more. Okay, am I done? Did I say all the stuff I was supposed to say? All right, I'm out of here.
All right, thanks, Uncle Mosh, for the information. All right, Murph, longtime friend of the show, Jim Erie Raider Z-Bach is putting together the Raider Nation party, if you will, up there in Buffalo, New York, this upcoming weekend, along with Jay Morse from the Salt City Silver and Black Booster Club. You can go to their Facebook page for all the information. I think it's called the Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion. And they joined us a few minutes ago to tell us more about it. And we'll play that interview for you right meow. All right, Raider Nation, as we stated earlier, please welcome to the show, good friend of the show, Jim Erie Raider Z-Bach, hailing from the Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club, and Jay Morse from the Salt City Silver and Black Raiders Booster Club out of Syracuse, New York. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Good, very well. Thanks, man, for having us. I like how you both paused there for the other guy. You guys are nice. You guys are nice.
Cordial Raider fans.
Hey, first thing I want to do off the top, man, I want to congratulate you guys on your 50th broadcast. And I got to tell you something. As the more I listen to you guys, at first I thought you guys were just plain entertaining and all this kind of stuff. But the more I listen to you guys, the more I understand the deep consideration you guys put into your responses and your different segments that you guys put in there. And I am really starting to very much appreciate the stuff that you did. In the beginning, I was more kind of, this is fun. But now the more I consider this, the more I really like what you guys are doing. And the thought and just the thought that you guys put into it is becoming very impressive. And I just want to thank you, congratulate you guys, and thank you for all your efforts.
Oh, well, you're too kind, Jim. Thank you very, very much for saying that.
I
appreciate that.
Well said.
No, he didn't pay me to say that. Yeah.
See, Murf, they do pay attention.
I know.
Yes,
man,
we do.
Awesome.
I do.
Awesome.
I do. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys, we always do the opening segment with the guest the same. We always ask about where your fandom started. Jim, since you're an old hag on this show, we'll start with Jay first. Jay, tell us how you became a Raiders fan, Jay.
Well, guys, it actually starts in '97. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my brother got a new video game, Game Day '96, and now he's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. Ugh. And the Raiders were their biggest rival, so he would kind of push me to be the Raiders. And as we played, he would tell me about all the players. He would tell me about Tim Brown. I had no idea what a Heisman Trophy was, but I knew that he won it. And the offensive line that was tough, Napoleon Kaufman. But what really sold me was Charles Woodson. The swagger that he had, he was a rookie. My brother was telling me that he played offense, defense, special teams in college, and he was just the coolest player. So I fell in love with the Raiders. I fell in love with the players. And ever since, that love has just grown.
That game day was no joke, man. I remember deep battles with my buddies on game day. He was always the Packers, and I was the Raiders. He loved Brett Favre. That game was fun. That game was fun. And Jay, always born and raised out in Syracuse, or what?
I've been in Syracuse my whole life. 3,000 miles away from Oakland, but I've made a couple trips out there. I try to go to a few games a year. I've been a diehard since '97.
What's that like, Jay, after rooting for the team for so long and finally getting to go there, getting to go to their home?
Oh, it was amazing. Actually, we got hooked up with Silver and Black Empire out in New York, and we went to the Fred Biletnikoff dinner.
Okay.
So my first trip to Oakland included shaking hands and hugging Mark Davis, meeting Reggie McKenzie, Jack Del Rio.
Nice.
My wife now is she calls herself a good friend of Fred Biletnikoff. So, just kidding, but they sat together at dinner and she loved it. It was just such an amazing trip. My first trip to Oakland to meet all those people. It was awesome.
So obviously you never go back, because how can you top that, right?
I have to go back before they move.
There you go. Jim, what about you? How'd your fandom start?
Mine started in the mid-'70s. I am located in very hostile territory between Buffalo, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. And, of course, the early '70s around Erie, you had a massive bandwagon climbing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. My dad was always a underdog fan, and he could not get along with that. And I always thought Terry Bradshaw was kind of a bitch anyway. He was a bit of a whiner, and I couldn't sorry. He was a bit of a whiner, and I couldn't stand him. And then, of course, we had a guy from Erie, Fred Biletnikoff, become the Super Bowl MVP, and I was a receiver and in grade school. And there was just no team that was more fun than the Oakland Raiders in the '70s. And, of course, they owned Monday night. Their winning schedule or their winning record was just ridiculous back then, and they were so entertaining to watch that I hooked onto those guys and never left. So it's been since the mid-'70s. And, yes, I am the old hag. So I like that.
You know, Jim, you mentioned those teams in the 70s, how they did own Monday night. I remember as a kid in the 90s hearing about the Raiders being the most winningest franchise in the NFL up until that point. And then the 2000s hit.
Yep.
All of sports at one point. It was the most winningest team in all of sports,
All of sports, exactly.
Do you think this team, Jim, could eventually become that fun team again, albeit a different cast of characters and maybe different outside the NFL game activities with this current team, but they kind of have that fun, wild spark about them, don't they?
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with confidence and winning. So if they can win up front, gain their confidence, and truly believe that these guys can beat anybody, I think that kind of stuff will come back. Because I think Derek Carr is a playful kind of guy, and so is Khalil Mack and those kinds of things. And, of course, Marshawn would be. I don't know how long he'll be there. But I think that and, of course, we all know, how Amari Cooper is so flamboyant out there that I think that they could be he needs to tone it down. I think they can to a certain degree. But back then it was so much more of I don't give a damn. I'm going to do what I want, and I only need 3 hours sleep. And how much do you need to play football anyway? Type thinking that I don't think we'll find that ever again. These guys are way too serious. The sport is way too serious. There's too much money at risk. That I don't know that any team could really be like that anymore. Back then, you just kind of didn't give a damn, and because you weren't making much money, and you just wanted to hurt people and win, and who cares? So nowadays you can't have those kinds of players on our team. I mean, like Lyle Alzado, there's no way we can have him on. Ben Davis, there's no way we can have a guy like that playing on our team that was just, they were just out of control, and let alone Stabler. So I don't think that kind of stuff is possible. I think that time has passed. I think that to a large degree this team and these times can have teams that are good guys, and they're very fun to watch, and they're playful, and they have their priorities straight, but that's probably as far as you can take it, I would guess. Leave me my thinking off the top of my head.
Hey, guys, this is Murph. Thanks again for joining us here on Raiders Fan Radio. I got a couple questions for you. Jay, let's start with you. Jim just mentioned about the, image and the just the attitude of the Raiders back in those days, and the really what formed the Raiders going forward as far as how we look at them, the legacy of the Raiders, I should say. One of those things that really was key in that was their rivalries with different teams, and none better than the rivalry with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I feel like, and I think Raider Nation feels like, that rivalry is starting to rekindle a little bit. So tell me, what is your biggest takeaway in this win for the Raiders against the Chiefs this past Thursday?
Well, I think this team is trying to get their swagger back and trying to get their confidence back. I remember texting. I have a kid in school, and he's down in Pittsburgh right now. And
was that Pittsburgh with no T's?
Yeah, Pittsburgh or Schittsburg or whatever.
Yeah, like how Bruce Jenner, like how Bruce Jenner used to be, no T's. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
God, Sonny.
That's too funny. Anyway, okay. So back to the Chiefs game. Back to the Chiefs game. I left off with texting one of my boys, and I told him that if we're going to win this game, it's going to be ugly. And the only reason that is so is because this team has been so rocked over the past 4 games that their confidence is shook. And if they're going to try to get their confidence back, they're going to have to fight through it. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to suffer with that, dropping balls too much and not quite getting done what you need to get done. And Derek Carr overthrowing, I think it was Jared Cook in the end zone in one of the 3 plays at the 0 time list. All that kind of stuff. And it was wild because of that. But in order to find out if that's real or not, they have to win at Buffalo. And for that matter, Buffalo could be a chief competitor for the wild card, one of the wild card slots. So this is another must win. I mean, they can afford to lose maybe 4 or 5 games, and they've already lost 4. So they're in a real tough situation at this point, and they're going to have to ramp up quickly. And Buffalo is never easy. We always have a tough time with these guys, and knowing that I've gone to enough Buffalo games up here in this region, I know that they have a tendency to struggle with them. And of course, it's such a hostile environment in that stadium. So And anyway, so I think it's an incredible win, a tremendous confidence booster. I almost died a few times watching the game, but it was incredibly entertaining, and it was a tremendous win for those guys. And it could be an epic game, if these guys go on and keep winning. This was a game that turned it for them, and it's just phenomenal. And I love the fact that it beat Kansas City, who they've had such a tough time winning against. And in fact, I used to tell people, I think this is the year we're going to start to beat Kansas City. What I didn't expect is we'd start losing to Denver and to the Chokers.
Yeah.
So, but I did get the Kansas City win right. So that's about as much as I can tell you at this point. So they got to back it up though.
Well, it's kind of fun that the Bills and Raiders are relevant again. There's an often said thing that, when the Raiders are good, it's good for the NFL. I think it's certainly great for us as Raider fans, but I think it's more so for these other teams as well. And it's nice to see that there's been some resurgence in some of these teams that have been dormant. I mean, heck, the Bills had made the playoffs since 99 when they got torched by the Titans in the Music City Miracle. Speaking of the Titans, they hadn't been relevant for a bunch of years, and now they're kind of coming back. Of course, our Raiders are back, so it's nice to see these games actually mean something again to some of these teams that really haven't been relevant for a while. So that is great. And also, you mentioned the hostility, and I don't even know what it's called anymore. It used to be Ralph Wilson Stadium, right? But now whatever. You mentioned the hostile crowd and how cool the passion is of the Buffalo fan. It's also in the parking lot, isn't it? Don't we see quite a bit? How many times have we seen people run into buses and slam women through beer pong tables and stuff?
Yeah.
You see the video of the girl getting body slammed?
Yeah.
What the heck, dude? They still think girls have cooties out there in Buffalo.
And then I hear that some of the long-term ticket holders actually have a catch-up bath before they actually go in to the stadium. So.
What?
I don't even know what that means.
French fries in them?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. I don't know where you come up with that or why you want to.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. So okay. Well, tell us a little bit. Tell us about the event you got going on. We got the Buffalo Invasion coming up. Jay, let's start with you. Tell us about what Salt City Silver and Black has got going on, and what your all's plans are leading up to and during the game at Buffalo.
Okay, well, Saturday night we'll be at the Hyatt. We actually sold out the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Buffalo. Mostly Raider fans. There's a ton of fans that booked in our Raider block. That hotel is going to be full of Raider fans. And Saturday night from 6 to 9. Mm-hmm. Saturday night from 6 to 9, we're going to be at the Soho Burger Bar, about a block and a half away from the hotel, right on West Chippewa Street. Tell them a little bit about that, Jim.
Oh, the Soho, yeah, that's fun. We were there last year too, but this is the first year we're actually organizing Buffalo. So Buffalo, to my knowledge, has never been organized, and we always have a huge presence there. The first time my family and I put on any kind of a costume, it was pretty humble compared to what we do now. But we did that in Buffalo, and it was probably about 5-6 years ago. And I remember walking from where we parked to the stadium, and we didn't really tailgate because, well, we just didn't know better. And we kind of walked, and it was such an epic walk with all these Raider fans cheering you on, as you walked by, and we were like not much on at all, compared to what we do now. And that spurred us on, but it was, but we've never been organized, and we always have a good 15-20% of the stadium, and we're going to have a huge presence up there. So we're finally now trying to organize a national tailgate and try to start to get this organized. And even in my crew down here, we have a good portion of us going to another tailgate because, well, we didn't organize until too late. So the next time we'll be quite a bit bigger. But even now, when they had the party at the Soho the last time, I think it was Jeff Goff, I think his name is, from the New England chapter. Those Jason guys had Goff, they figured about Jason Goff, that's it. They had they figured they'd have 50 to 100 people. They ended up with 200. Which is really cool. So I suspect we'll do quite well up at this. And now we're hearing the Violators coming and Gorilla Rilla with Jungle Jane, and then Skull Lady's coming, and so on and so forth. So there's a number of the super fans that are coming as well, which is always very exciting.
That's really cool because when we had him on the show, we asked him about going to road games, and he doesn't go to many road games. It's mostly all home games for Violator. So the fact that he's coming on the road and going literally across the country to do it, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and Saturday night at Soho, we have some pretty nice raffles, too. We have a signed Bruce Irvin jersey that we're going to raffle off, a few other things, too. And all the raffles, the proceeds are going to go to Tracy's Place of Hope, the Blitnikoff charity.
Awesome.
So that's actually the Raiders charity, too. All the proceeds are going straight to that.
Jay, where can people tailgate information? What parking lot you in? Where you at in the parking lot? If guys are showing up day of, what's up with that? What's up?
We got a pretty nice spread going here. We got smoked chicken wings. We got pulled pork, roast beef, chili. We have baked beans. We have cornbread, and there's going to be some brisket there too. Nice spread. It's going to be at the Yellow Brick parking lot, which is just south of lot number 1 at the Ralph Wilson Stadium. So just south of lot 1 is going to be over 200 Raider fans. Just eating some barbecue and partying like Raiders do.
Follow the Yellow Brick Road to the Raider tailgate, huh?
You're best to go to our Facebook event page, the Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion, to find all those details. We have all that stuff listed up there, so trying to remember that or write it down is going to be challenging. Just go to the Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion event page on Facebook, and we have all the details posted there.
You guys are even selling T-shirts for this.
Yeah, well, when we first I've been wanting to get involved in this, so thankfully Jay let us in, and we were originally working with a Rochester group too, but they have their own gig going, so they kind of bowed out of it. But we decided to kind of up the graphics a little bit and start developing stuff. So we developed our own little graphics for the event, and in fact, Jay got flags made, which is really cool. Wait till you see our flag setup. Nice. And then out of that, I built T-shirts, and we did some pre-ordering. So a bunch of people pre-ordered a bunch of T-shirts, and I'll have a few extra there at the event for anybody who wants to get one. And it's just a commemorative T-shirt. Jay also got cozies made with our logo on it too. So for anybody coming to tailgate, you'll get one of those. And so we'll start getting stuff around. So this will be the first time we're organizing, and we got a lot of help, by the way, from Peggy Holmes at DC Metro, who I call the first lady of Booster Clubs. And in fact, she ended up donating a signed football by Rod Martin and Jeff Barnes. So we'll raffle that off at the Saturday party as well. So which is really cool of her to do that. But anyway, so yeah, we got a lot going on, and it's a good start for all of us, and trying to get Buffalo organized. So I think as the years go by, we're going to really start to pull this thing together. But it's the national tailgate, so everybody needs to be there who's coming in.
So again, it's at the Hyatt Regency in Buffalo. It's over there in Buffalo, New York. You can get I think a room for $140. Saturday night is at the Soho Burger Bar. Tailgate information is the Yellow Brick parking lot just south of Lot 1. Estimated over 200 people showing up to this. If you're a Raiders fan and you're going to this game, this is the spot to be. Gorilla Rilla, Violator, Erie Raider. What more could you ask for, right? This is going to be awesome. And some brisket if you're hungry, if you got room in your belly. Good stuff, gentlemen. As we end the interview, we always like to give a positive message to Raider Nation. You know, lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff going to continue to go on for a couple more years with this Raider team. We'll start with Jim. What is your message? What's your hope behind this Buffalo Invasion thing? What's the vibe? What's the message? What's just the overall atmosphere you're trying to create with this?
Listen, I mean, why do we do these things? Why do we go to these tailgates? You know, what it is this Raider Nation is a family. We've got to get together, and we got to spend time together. As you go to these games and you go to these different tailgates, man, you're going to find Raider fans around the country that you keep running into. And whether they be regional or from out of town, California, or wherever, Jersey, New York, whatever. It's a party for Raider Nation. It's a chance for us to get together, hang out, you know, talk, celebrate, and become that nation that we call ourselves, the Raider Nation. And that's why we tend to build these kinds of parties and do this kind of stuff, because Raider Nation expects it, man. They're looking for people to pull this together so we can all get together. And how do you be a family if we don't spend time together? So that's what these tailgates are about. They're about getting together, having fun, and getting to see each other again, celebrate when we can. And it gets to a point sometimes where I know when I go to these games, and sometimes we lose and it's not very pretty, it's like it doesn't hurt as much because I've had so much fun over the weekend. Now, I get upset when I get home, but while I'm there, I'm not as upset because I've had so much fun just seeing old friends and getting together and being the nation that we are, being the family that we are. So That's why we do this stuff. That's why we put the time and effort into it.
I agree, Jim. It was great meeting you week 1 in Tennessee there. Really appreciate of the shirts you made for me and Murph. Custom made, had our names on the Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club shirt. I wear it all the time around the house. It's awesome. My wife's already annoyed with it. Says it's that stinky shirt that I always wear. And but
great stuff.
To me, it's almost more special to me, like my Stabler jersey or something like that, because like it was that family atmosphere. It was meeting you and kind of just
right.
You're over there, I'm over here. Why do we know each other? The Raiders, and that's the beauty of Raider Nation and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool, man. Props for doing this.
Outstanding.
Jay, what's your message to Raider Nation as a whole, Jay? Lots of stuff going on. Vegas. You had the Lynch thing over the weekend. Fans are divided about it. 4-game skid. Have we righted the ship against the Chiefs? Was that just a fluke? What's your message to the fan base overall right now?
Well, I've been saying it. I just want everyone to relax. I don't want to pull a message from Aaron Rodgers, but you can't just overreact week to week as you see something. And not someone doesn't have to get fired after every game. This is a good team. It's a talented team. We're going to win some games. And I know we had a bad stretch there, but this is a very strong team. I think we're going to come out strong. We're going to make a push for the playoffs. Now, as for Marshawn Lynch, I don't know what to say about him. He's all over the place. To run out on the field, lose a game and a half to protect the player on the Chiefs, I don't know if I can stand up for that. But he's a good player. I think he's still going to help us out when he's available, of course. He's there to be a leader. He's a nice, strong personality. We need that. He is kind of that old school leader. He's that tough guy. He's going to help us out. As we move to Vegas, we need to remember why we love this team. This is a family. It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't matter if you're white. It doesn't matter. This is Raider family. We're all in this together. You need to remember that.
Jay, I really appreciate that message of not overreacting, but have you heard the show?
I know that's what you guys do.
That's kind of what we do, man.
Yeah, but in a very thoughtful way.
Well,
we think about it beforehand.
Yeah, we think about freaking out, and then we freak out, and then we talk about freaking out. Yeah.
I agree, Jay. Yeah, I think that's a good message. It's relax both ways, right? We lose 4 games. Okay, let's not freak out. And then we win a game. Hey, easy. We're not going to win the rest of them. I think it's both ways, right?
Just take it week by week. It's a good team, like I said.
I agree. Well, guys, we appreciate you coming on so much. Jim and Jay, the Jim Jay Show, Jim Jay segment, Raiders Fan Radio. Appreciate you guys coming on. Good luck to your event out there. Again, it's at the Hyatt Regency Buffalo. That's where you want to get your hotel room. Saturday night, Soho Burger Bar, tailgate. Day of is at the Yellow Brick parking lot just south of Lot 1. Go to the Facebook page, and the Facebook page again is Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion.
And by the way, the hotel is sold out. By the way, so
hotel is don't go to the hotel. Go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else.
Go to Jay's house.
That's right. Too far away.
Hey, you can stay in the Carrier Dome. There's plenty of empty seats there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. Sorry.
Hey, we got that big win over Clemson. I'm happy.
Appreciate you guys coming on, and go Raiders.
Thank you guys for having us.
That's right. Thanks, guys, for having us.
All right. Once again, thank you to Jim and Jay, the Jim Jay Show at the Raiders Fan Radio. Thanks to Jim and Jay for coming on the show, telling us all the information. Murph, don't you kind of wish you were going to Buffalo this weekend?
Yeah, you know what, I really am, and of course, we had a great time in Tennessee week 1, and you and I have talked a lot about what our schedule will look like going forward, and as far as attending Raider games, and we've been to our share of home games, and we're going to try to attend our share of the road games, and none better than if we were able to attend this week in Buffalo. I'm with you that if and not even, it ends up being a great matchup for the teams. Going into the season, you would have looked at this and been like, okay, whatever. But now it's not only so it's going to be a great matchup on the field, and the parties and the things that are going on around the game are just awesome. Just great folks, great members of Raider Nation. And man, I would, it's going to be nice and chilly up there, hostile environment at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Man, I think it would be really, really cool. And so, yeah, I'm a little bit jelly of the people that are going to be able to go up there and check it out and have a good time. And so, hey, tag us on social media. Hit us up, Raiders Fan Radio, on Instagram, and, of course, on our Facebook fan page and all that stuff, Twitter and all that. Tag us in your pictures. Throw them out there. We'll share them back with everybody. And please let us in on a little bit of the good time you're going to have up there. No fan left behind, huh?
You got to think Jim Rome is going to have a field day with Raider Nation meets Bills Mafia. You know what I'm saying? Especially after the video released earlier this week of a Buffalo fan body slamming a female Buffalo fan into a table. I'm not quite sure that's what women's equal rights is supposed to equate to. But, they do things differently up there in Buffalo. So should be a fun time up there. I'm kind of glad I'm not going because of that stuff.
I know, right? Yeah.
But it's gonna be nuts. So I appreciate Jim and Jay for all the work they're doing. It takes a lot to organize an event. You know what I'm saying? Like, we organized a small little thing for our show week 1 at Tennessee, and we were planning that for months. And so to do something like this big with multiple booster clubs. A lot of you guys do it out there. The DC Metro did it earlier this year for the Redskins game. It takes a lot of work. So props to all you booster clubs who year in, year out, put these events on. We think it's awesome. We love giving you guys a platform for your voice to go out there and talk about it, to give a voice to the people who are doing it. It takes place all over the country, Murph, and it's something special. So props to you guys, Jim and Jay, and for everybody else who's ever been in a booster club and put an event on. It's special. As we talked about with Jim, he brought us custom-made Great Lakes Booster Club shirts to the game in Tennessee with each of our individual names on them. And I wear it around the house, man. It's one of my favorite Raider shirts to wear and stuff. So props to you guys. Hopefully that's going to be a good time. And I wish I was there, but I'll watch it on TV. I'll be there with you in spirit to watch the Raiders beat the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I don't think we can say that enough. And I think that's a real important sentiment, Sonny, that, the booster clubs to me really epitomize a lot of what our fandom is all about as far as Raider Nation. And when we started this thing, Raiders Fan Radio, emphasis on the fan, we wanted to give a voice, not only the folks that call into our show, but, give a voice to those fans, to those booster clubs and the work they do in the community and the work that they do around the games. That has been one of the coolest blessings so far of this show is the people that we've gotten to meet. You mentioned it, to Jim in our interview that, you live in Oregon, he lives, in Erie, Pennsylvania, and what has, drawn a connection there between you two is the Raiders. And so, the booster clubs and the work that those folks do, it's such a neat thing. And we're thankful that not only are you willing to come on our show and share those events and to share what all those activities are, but we appreciate you. And I think that that's one of the big things that keeps Raider Nation and the fandom alive is that activity. It's one thing to be on social media. And look, we're on social media a lot, but it's another thing to do something in person. And I think Jim said it best in his interview. You spend time with family, right? That's what you do with family. What makes it family is time spent together. And when the booster clubs are doing these events, whether it's, helping a Habitat for Humanity or, picking up trash on the side of the road, or they're organizing a barbecue at a Raider game, that it's time spent with one another, and that's in the fandom, and that's from pretty cool, powerful stuff. So thanks to you all folks and everything that you're doing out there.
Amen. And right after the break, we're going to hear much more from Raider Nation all around the country as we go to the Sea of Fans mailbag to play all 9 voicemails from you crazy Raiders fans this week.
There he is, fading, looking. He's under the gun. He's caught, he throws. It is. Oh, he caught it.
All right, Sonny, our first call into the Raiders Fan Radio hotline this week came from, of course, good friend of the show, Chuck McCann. And the reason that he's first, Sonny, is that he made the call before the game didn't even make it to halftime.
Hey, It's Splatterhead. It's only the first quarter, but they're showing us exactly
He's out of control.
what we've been waiting to see. AC/DC is back. I'll call back again later.
Love that guy. Love that guy. Love that guy. Love that he's calling first quarter. I agree, man. Murph, wasn't it? It was exciting to watch who I thought the Raiders were supposed to be. It was exciting to see Downing open the playbook, Cooper get going early, Carr's throwing touchdown passes. It was like, finally, welcome to the show. I'm glad you woke up. I'm glad you decided to join us. You freaking slept in till 11 o'clock, missed half the day, but it's okay. We'll have a great afternoon. Thank you for showing up, Raiders. Couldn't agree more, Chuck.
All right, so next up we have from Yakima, Washington. We have a new caller to the show. We're going to go check in with Red. He's up there in Seahawks country.
Hey, Sonny Murf. This is Red from Yakima, Washington. Raised in Porterville, California. Been a Raider fan for 20 years. How about them Raiders? How about them Raiders? Can't say it enough. Silver and black, baby. I can't stand the Chiefs. How about that game? How about that defense? Carl Joseph was good. Navarro Bowman was a savage. Good pickup on Monday. Perfect pickup. That veteran leadership, we needed that. I'm so pumped right now, boys. We needed that win bad. Keep us in the game. Keep us in the game in the division. Playoff race. We needed it bad. Derek came back looking good. Lynch needs to settle down a little bit. I know Derek's his boy, but running out there, grabbing the ref like it's some dude out on the streets, can't be doing that. Can't be doing that at all. If Lynch would have stayed in the game, I don't think we would have had to win the game 4 times. I mean, what is up with that? Come on now, those calls. 4 times? We shouldn't have to win a game 4 times. That was ridiculous. But it was meant to be, boys. We pulled it out at the end. I can't stand the Chiefs. I hate the Patriots. Raider Nation. Stay up.
Thanks, Red, for the call. Yakima, you're a few hours away from me, Red. We'll have to get together and watch a game sometime. Murphy made a lot of great points, but the one I want to focus on is Bowman. Is it Bowman or Bowman? I guess I got to learn how to say his name.
Bowman.
Bowman or Bowman?
Navarro Bowman.
Bowman, not Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman.
Even though he's one man, but it's Bowman.
Mun.
Okay.
It's an in between. It's a
Bowman.
mun. Think of a U. Mun.
Bowminsfa. Okay.
Yeah.
Navarro Bowminsfa. Del Rio called him a hunting dog. I think that was the quote that Del Rio used to describe him. What did we pick him up on Monday? Was it? We picked him up off waivers.
Yeah, it was 3 days before the game. So yeah,
picked him up Monday, and he was wearing the green dot on Thursday. That's you're getting the play call from the coach. You're telling the team. So in a matter of 3 days, Bowman is the guy facilitating the calls on defense. That tells you either A, the need we had at middle linebacker, or B, how good he is. We'll figure out which one of those is true moving forward. But the fact of the matter is, instant, Murph, instant lift to this Raiders defense. He was in there. He was making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He was reading zone runs. He was reading counters. He knew when to blitz. He had that incredible hit on Alex Smith that made Alex kind of get up and cringe a little bit. He's a force in the inside middle linebacker spot that we haven't had for a while. And I look forward to Marquell Lee learning from a guy like Bowman moving forward.
Here is exactly what my passion for Reggie not drafting a middle linebacker or not addressing the middle linebacker more appropriately or aggressively, however you want to call it, until this point. This is exactly why. Is that when you look at what Bowman has brought to the team already, it's a week as of today, and already look at the impact that he's had, not only because of his ability, which is huge, but that veteran presence, that veteran leadership. And I think we have another caller that brings up later, so I'll save it on that. But it makes such a big difference. And the idea that he had the green dot, don't you think the Raiders kind of soft-sold that a little bit? Like they were like, we don't know if he's going to play or not. Yeah, right. They were playing poker is what they were doing. They weren't showing their hand. And one of the best quotes that I've heard this week about about the fact that he was wearing the helmet with the dot and that he was calling the plays. One of the guys in the Raider Ramble chat, and I forget who it was, there's a chat that we're a part of with the Raider Ramble crew, and they're gracious enough to let you and I sit in on it and kind of see what their workings are as far as their
they're gracious enough
to
let us do our fan rants and go off the edge and still welcome us back with open arms.
While these guys are trying to do business, trying to determine what articles they're going to write and how they're going to write it and their structure, and then you got a couple of podcast guys and they're popping off every once in a while. But anyways, somebody said in terms of Bowman calling plays that it would go something like this. All right, y'all do all that crap-based defense that you normally do, and I'll hold down the middle. Ready, break. You know what I mean? Like that was so funny to me because I'm like, yeah, like that's it. Like, look, I got this defense. We're good. Like, I'm good. The Raiders have had to have stripped it down a little bit at some point, and I got to think that a veteran guy like Bowman is able to come in and just pick it up real quick. Don't you think? I mean, I think it's great. I think it's just awesome. It's just awesome.
Instant impact.
We're going to go down to West Texas, and here we didn't get a name. Hey, real quick, for everybody that's calling into the show, tell us your name. There's a handful in here that we didn't get your name. I got your area code, so we kind of know where you're from. But give us your name, so that way when you call in, we can acknowledge you, and we can keep tally as far as who's working towards being a made man here on Raiders Fan Radio. So we're going to go down to West Texas, go down to El Paso in the 915.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but I'll take it. Go Raiders. In the beginning, I felt that the game fell apart because of Lynch. The fact that the whole team stood up for Carr, and there was conspiracies saying that, the team doesn't want to stand up, this and whatnot. But, I don't know what was said after halftime. The boys came through, and the Raiders literally got down to business. Grateful to be a Raider fan. I'm just so happy and blessed. I'll follow them in their toughest times. I've never complained, even when they say Derek Carr is overrated. And I'm just so happy Cooper came through today. But I think everybody did their job. The kicker is not bad either. He'll get it through. All right, God bless, man. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you calling in from West Texas, down in El Paso, West Texas. Murph, can we stop already with the Derek Carr is overrated mumbo jumbo? How many game-winning drives did he do last year? This game, we needed our quarterback, and he came through big. He came through pass after pass after pass. Not to mention, Murph, the final play with 0 seconds on the clock in the game, that was supposed to be a sprint right pass in the corner, but Carr seen Peters over there, so he audibled to make it to the left. Now, him and Crabtree had been practicing that play, so they were well-versed in how the play would go. But the hardest thing for a quarterback to do, Murph, when throwing on the run is going which way?
Going across your body, yeah, running left to throw right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, he ran left. While he didn't throw right, he was still a right-handed quarterback, sprinting left, threw the ball into a 2-foot window? I mean, that ball had to be on the money. Yeah. That ball had to be on the money. He threw it to where only Crabtree would get it, and it was the game-winning touchdown. I mean, the guy isn't overrated, right? He's not overrated. Is he going to have bad games? Of course he's going to have bad games. Brady, Rodgers, Montana, Marino, Stabler, they all had bad games. But what is so consistent about Carr is his hunger to win, and quite frankly, he shows up when we need him. Last year, he showed up a lot when we needed him. We had a 4-game skid this year. I don't think we'll ever know why we had the 4-game skid. But Carr was still playing good. He got hurt in Denver, didn't play against the Chargers, and we still almost won the game, right? And so, it's like Carr's not overrated, people. If anything, is underrated.
Absolutely. That pass, I went back, and Uncle Mosh came over yesterday, and we were watching football, and we went back through and watched the last sequence of plays in the Chiefs game, the 41 seconds that took 20 minutes to play. Watching how amazing that game was, the way it unfolded. But that pass, to be on the move the way that he was and to throw it into that window that you mentioned, that throw, while it's not the pretty downfield Aaron Rodgers, darts or, the Tom Brady outs or all the, there's a lot of quarterbacks that make a lot of really pretty throws. So it was a short pass, but the velocity and the accuracy while running, it's almost unmatched. I used to, when you have fun debates with your friends about who the greatest drummer is or greatest guitar player, I used to always say that Angus Young to me from AC/DC was one of the greatest guitar players. Is he better than Eddie Van Halen or Jimi Hendrix or,
No.
Joe Satriani? No, but you know what? When Angus plays, he runs non-stop. When you watch an AC/DC concert, the guy is literally running and sliding and spinning around in circles and going bananas all show long. To do that, to play the way that he does, and while he's constantly moving, is so amazingly impressive. That to me is what Carr did. His body was in an awkward position. He was running, sprinting out, and he threw a freaking dart. That is so hard to do. So hard to do, especially at the NFL level. Are you kidding? Go in your backyard. When you get done listening to us, go in your backyard and run to the opposite side of your throwing arm and try to hit a fence post. Just try it and see how good you are. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow. He's not. So we agree, West Texas. Carr is not overrated. If anything, he's just going to start showing people. Second year, basically, of his coming out year last year. And I think now that Downing's opened up the playbook, it's only going to get better from here.
Let's go back up to the Pacific Northwest, your neck of the woods, and hear from Joe in Vancouver. And callers, be like Joe.
Raider Nation, Joe from Vancouver, Washington. Raiders all the way. Hell of a game. Raiders, Raiders, Raiders. Joe from Vancouver, Washington, USA. Raiders for life. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Joe, we're even closer neighbors than me and Red up in Yakima. What are we doing watching games by ourselves with our wives? We should get together. Appreciate the call, Joe. Yeah. Raiders, Raiders, Raiders. Thanks for the call.
and he said his name twice. So be like Joe. When you call the show, say your name so we know who you are. All right, let's get one more in here, and then we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to go to the Tri-Cities of Tennessee, which is that little corner up there in the east, up there kind of by Virginia. All right, and we're going to go up there to the Tri-Cities and hear from a caller.
Hey, man, I've been a Raider fan for, I'm going to say 40 years now. There's only one nation, that's Raider Nation. And after this win tonight, all you bandwagon fans think you're Raider fans, get the hell off our damn off our wagon, man. We don't need you. I guarantee you we're going to hear a bunch of shit about Lynch coming off the bench. Yeah, he shouldn't have done it, but he was out there trying to help his players. Plain and simple. Get over it. Go Raider Nation.
There you go. Appreciate the call. I agree. Only one nation. You know, Murph, the bandwagon stuff is funny. I posted on Sunday I said, so I guess we're rooting for the Chargers to beat the Broncos, so that way they have a loss in the division. And for the most part, had really great banter, right? Chuck was like, hey, we should root for a tie. And I said, a tie? He's like, yeah, then they both don't win. But I think a Broncos loss is better than neither of them winning, you know? So anyway, so it was good banter. One guy gets on there and he's like, you mother effer, how dare you ever root for another team? You're not a real Raiders fan. You're a bandwagon fan. Get the blah, 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 blah. You just start going off, and I'm like, what the heck's the matter with people and stuff like that, you know? And so for the guy in Tri-Cities, I get it, man. Like you know, you find out who's a real Raiders fan during these kind of times, equally when they lose and when they win. But there's a difference between like being a fan and being pissed off at your team and venting and being frustrated versus like not rooting for them. Like you could hate the Raiders. Like for years, I hated the decisions they made. I hated signing Javon Walker. I hated Kerry Collins. I hated getting Jamarcus Russell. But I still loved them. It wasn't like you stopped rooting for them. So like, you know, we can't be critical no more. And yet, you know, be told we're not real fans and stuff like that. Like, come on, you know, if anything, we got to be careful with the bandwagon thing and stuff like that. So we love the call, Tri-Cities. The bandwagon fans, they're going to come. It happens. It comes with wins and losses and stuff like that. You know, we all know where we're at. You've been a Raiders fan for 40 years. That's awesome. Keep up the passion. Keep it up. And we are going to hear about Lynch, and we're probably going to hear a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. There's no shortage of Marshawn Lynch content when it comes to our callers this week. But real quick, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll head out to the 405, which is in Oklahoma.
Hey, Raider Nation, are you out there? It's Uncle Mosh. I got a couple questions for you. Hey, what are you wearing right now? Nah, this isn't getting all weird. I'm sitting here and I'm sporting my Raiders Fan Radio shirt. That's right, we got merchandise now. And you too can have one of these nice, I'm saying, Raiders Fan Radio shirts by going to RaidersFanRadio.com. I mean, who wouldn't want to wear one of our shirts? You need to do this, and you need to do it quick. You know why? Because the price is set right now. It's set so low. It's so low, we're afraid that it's going to go up faster than an avocado sandwich at a 49er play date. You know what? Even the redheaded cousin wears one of these when he's not drinking the donkey Kool-Aid. All right, get out there. Order your shirt. RaidersFanRadio.com. I need the money.
I've been a Raider Nation fan since I was 3 years old. I've been through some of the most ugly things that we've had in most of our seasons, and it's not out of every game that I've seen in my entire life, I'm screaming Raider Nation. Crabtree stepped it up, Carr did his thing, offensive line showed out for our quarterback after the hard hit, and Marshawn Lynch freaking out. I love it, man. It's Raider Nation again. We're playing like we should be. Thanks for the time. Later.
Love it. Appreciate the call from wherever you are, whatever part of the country you're.
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Part of the country
Oklahoma,
from,
the 405. Yeah,
Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma, the 405 there. Crabtree, he's been kind of Mr. Consistent, hasn't he? With all the talk about Cooper, Crabtree has kind of been consistent. And there was some talk this week. Some of actually your brother posted some dumb thing about. Hope you enjoy the.
Wait a minute, what? Wait, that never happens. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Let the record be known, Murf is related to a Broncos fan and a Niners fan.
How bad does the family gene have to mutate to spit out those two knuckleheads, man?
I hear you. So he's posting stuff about enjoy the Niners crap heap, picking up Crabtree and Bowman and stuff like that, Murf. But looking at the way they played Sunday, they're probably happy to play on a team that actually wins games.
I know, right?
That's actually in the conversation because Bowman looked like a stud. Granted, he's lost his step, but he still is a clog up there in the middle. And Crabtree, he's balling out. He's been balling out ever since we picked him up. And keep sending us those Niner players from over there in San Francisco. I agree. Oklahoma, Crabtree's a beast.
He is a beast, in fact. Yeah, and it's nice to see him with those vice grips for hands. You know what I mean? They returned. I remember once upon a time we did a segment where you pulled the stats from, we looked at some of the best possession wide receivers in football. And you pulled the stats. So we looked at Julio's kind of like a freak. He's not, a true possession guy. He's just electric. He can do it all. But we looked at guys like Julian Edelman. We thought were good comparisons to Crabtree as far as their average, yardage per catch and where on the field they caught balls and like all that kind of stuff. We felt like Edelman was a good example. And I forget who else there was in there. There was a couple of, I think Anquan Bolden might have been one that we looked at. There was a handful of guys. And if I remember right, Sonny, you probably remember better than I do. Crabtree was like neck and neck with all of those guys as far as his numbers, right?
Yeah. I mean, just this year alone against Tennessee, 6 of 7. 6 catches, 7 targets. Jets, 6 catches, 6 targets. Washington, 1 catch, 3 targets, but that was Washington. Baltimore, 6 catches, 8 targets. Chargers, 6 catches, 10 targets. And actually, he didn't get a pass thrown his way against the Broncos.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
And then Kansas City actually was,
dude. That wasn't Carr.
That's true. Kansas City was his worst. 3 catches on 7 targets, but he still had the game-winning touchdown. So it's like
twice.
Crabtree balls.
He had
right?
the game-winning touchdown twice because the first one he jumped up over Peters, which they called him for offensive. I guess you could have been.
Yeah,
I think
go back
Peters
and forth,
either intentionally fell down or he slipped, and it made it look a lot worse than what it was because Crabtree didn't even fully extend. It didn't look like it wasn't that bad of an offensive. I didn't think.
Crabtree has 6 touchdowns in 7 games.
That's amazing.
And he wasn't even throwing a ball against Denver. So basically, in the 6 games he's caught passes, he has 6 touchdowns. He's averaging a touchdown a game. So Crabtree is balling out.
All right, let's get out to the Dakotas and talk to our buddy Dakota Raider, who actually is one
man.
He's one of 2 now made men. We'll get to the other one here in a minute, but yes, the
No,
first.
we have three made men. We got Johnny in San Diego, Chuck, and now Dakota Raider.
Yeah. No, I know, but we got another one too tonight.
Oh, from this show alone.
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, let me hit the music to congratulate Dakota Raider, and then we'll play his call.
All right, you know why we're here. So if you got any doubts or reservations, now is the time to say so. No one will think any less of you, because once you enter this family, there's no getting out.
The thing that made Jimmy so happy that morning was that this was the day that Tommy was being made. Jimmy was so excited, you'd think he was being made. Jimmy and I could never be made because we had Irish blood. It didn't even matter that my mother was Sicilian. See, it's the highest honor they can give you. It means you belong to a family and a crew. It means that nobody can f*** around with you. It also means you could f*** around with anybody just as long as they aren't also a member.
All right, so congratulations to Dakota Raider. He becomes the newest of the made men here on Raiders Fan Radio.
Hey, Sonny Murf. This is the Dakota Raider. Literally just wrapped up the Kansas City game. Sorry if I don't make any sense here. The party's going full bore here. It's after not having a win for a month. But totally awesome. Great game. Just reminds me of what the Raiders were last year, where, I can't take another heart attack, but, they had 5 heart attack games, last season, and it just felt the same tonight. Nothing's perfect. It's kind of like, what the heck was that quarterback draw thing on 3rd and 10, and where, the play where Marshawn Lynch came in and got ejected. But, overall, I love that. Last year they used to say, how the offensive line would get, pissed off if Derek Carr broke a fingernail or something. But it felt like, I'll take a penalty to see some passion and protecting Derek Carr. And, God, it was great. Totally great. All right. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Murph, I love when callers get to be a made man on our show and play that music, because it just reminds me of like dipping French bread into sauce that's been cooking on the thing all day and stuff. And like, I almost just went into a food coma vicariously from thinking about dipping bread into sauce and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing. Dakota, I agree. After the Kansas City game, I didn't quite know what to do with myself. I just kind of sat there and was just like, what did I just watch? What the heck just happened with the ending? Why did we run, I think it was 3 plays with 0 time on the clock? How many times we got to score a touchdown? They got to take it away from us. And we just beat the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. And we just kind of played ourselves back into relevancy again. And it was a Thursday night primetime game after getting skunked previously during the year. So it was a beautiful thing. And I agree. I was a mess after the game as well. Didn't quite know what to think. I still kind of don't. It's only Monday. But the Raiders are back. And they're relevant again. I called the Chargers game a must-win game. Kansas City game was definitely a must-win game. That would have been 3 division losses. Right now we only have 2, and we're 2 games behind the Chiefs in the division. Broncos have a division loss. Chargers have, I think, 2 division losses. Chiefs have a division loss, and the Raiders only have 2 division losses. So we played ourselves back into competition again, man. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, and right now we would have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Of course, we're going to play them again, of course, but that is huge. That if the Raiders can find a way to then win again at Kansas City, which is, that's a tall order, right? That might be one of the toughest in the league this year as far as games to win. But if they can find a way to do that, that's almost like having an extra win, right? Because you get the tiebreaker. So since we played the music, let's get to the second one. We have our second made man, not total, but second tonight, made man, and that is Ron in Alliance, Ohio. Congratulations to Ron.
Hey guys, Ron from Ohio checking in. Man, what a game. That 1 point takes the what's wrong with the Raiders conversation and then puts it right on the Chiefs. And that puts some pressure on them so they can have it. We'll take and enjoy this little break and hopefully keep playing like that and a little bit better. We got some stuff to fix in that game. Just wanted to point out, man, I love our fans. That place is awesome before and after the game. If you watch any of the post game, I think that really separates us from any other team in the league. we truly do have the best fans out there. And that's awesome to see when we get these primetime games in Oakland. That's pretty cool. My question about Cooper last week, man, if he can play like that more consistently, he'll sound like Teddy KGB from Rounders, and we'll have to say pay that man his money. Anyway, have a great day. Looking forward to some good phone calls from people. Hopefully rack up some more wins here, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, Ron. Hopefully you made your turn there with your blinker started there. I like Murphy. He gave a different spin. He said our win made it not what's wrong with the Raiders, what's wrong with the Chiefs. They lost to Pittsburgh. They lost to the Raiders. All of a sudden, they were the NFL's, I think, were the last unbeaten team, right? They were sitting at 5-0. Yep. And all of a sudden, they lose twice in 5 days. I didn't even think about that. What's wrong with the Chiefs? And his second point is the fans, man, Murph, I don't want to get in the weeds on it. We're taking a hit when we move to Vegas as far as home field goes.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
There was a picture I retweeted out. I found it on Reddit. I forget the guy's name. It's not my picture, but he has this. He took a panorama picture of the game, and dude, it's Mordor, man. I think I hashtagged it. Welcome to Mordor, because it's like black clouds up atop. The whole crowd's black. The field's down there in dark green, and the Raiders were in their white uniforms across the way. Like, it looks so freaking sick, dude. And Amy Trask this week talked about it as well, about how the Raiders have one of the most unique home field advantages right now. Yeah, our stadium sucks and it's a piece of garbage, but you know what? That's our piece of garbage that we know and we love, and you have to come in and play there. So it's intimidating. I love it, especially night games in Oakland. Like, there is nothing more intimidating to the fan and to the players as a night game in Oakland.
It looks gorgeous. I'm with you. And hey, let's not just gloss over this Amy Trask thing, because if I'm correct, you traded a little bit of paint with Amy Trask on Twitter here over the past, what was it, today?
Yeah, we're colleagues, We're colleagues. No, but she's right. I mean, the Raiders, we're going to miss out for all the stuff about the city of Oakland didn't do this and the city of Vegas did. That's all beside the point. The Raiders are losing home field advantage when they go to Vegas. We won't know until we see what happens. But what you can't argue is, yes, people from LA will show up. Yes, people from Oakland, people from all around the country are still going to show up to games in Vegas. But the organic nature, the identity, the tough grit, that was born and raised in Oakland. And when we go to Vegas, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think we're going to be able to match the intensity of the black hole. We can replicate it, but y'all know what replication does, right? It's never as good as the real thing. No. So, this isn't knocking Vegas or Oakland or whatever. This is just saying we're going to lose that home field advantage. So we better enjoy it over the next couple of years and make it matter. We better make a team come in here for an AFC divisional, better yet, AFC championship game, and we better use it while we still got it.
Couldn't agree with you more. And when it comes to Amari Cooper,
pay him. Pay that man his money.
All right, let's head back up to the Pacific Northwest. Once again, our third call from Washington. Washington is riddled with Raider fans this week.
Sonny Murf, name's Brand, Raider fan for life, out of the Pacific Northwest, surrounded by a bunch of Seahawk fans, and after last night's game, they're starting to piss me off. When Marshawn Lynch stormed the field, I can't hear enough people, Seahawks fans, saying that, he ran out there so Marcus Peters wouldn't get hurt because he knows him from back in Oakland, and that's a bunch of bullshit. I would like to think that he rushed the field because the cheating son of a took a cheap shot on Derek. Well, enough of that. Let's get to the game. How about them Raiders? We needed that one very bad. We needed that one. That was desperation. And keep us in the division, keep us in the playoff race. Picking up Navarro Bowman was a major plus. Can't tell you enough how much that veteran leadership we needed on defense. I mean, Reggie Nelson thought maybe he had it, that veteran leadership, and he just doesn't have it. Navarro Bowman's a Raider for 3 days and he's calling the plays. I mean, I've been listening to the podcast for about a month now, and I think it was the last one, episode 51, a couple of the callers were calling for Reggie McKenzie's head and Jack Del Rio's head, and I don't think there's anything to do with it. I think it's mostly that superstar play caller that we were supposed to have, Todd Downing, and I think it's all the help that they got around them. Play calling was good yesterday. There's a lot more play action pass, and I think if Lynch was in the game a little bit longer, I think we would have smoked them a lot more than one. And how many times do we have to win that game? 4 times? And really? That was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't even remember a game where we've had to win the game 4 times. 4 times. That's mind-blowing to me. Well, I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Patriots. Silver and black running through these veins forever now. Raider Nation.
Thank you for your call, Brand. I feel you. I live up in the Pacific Northwest. I've had to watch the Seattle Seahawks and their fans come out of nowhere for the last several years. Although they're kind of going back into hiding now. The reason the Seahawks fans are called 12s is because that's the year they became fans. Is when they started winning. But I gotta disagree, Brand, about the Lynch thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Yeah, Lynch, right. Too bad.
What Lynch did was wrong, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't come off the sideline to stop a fight. And Murph, I know in the NBA they put a real big thing on that a couple years ago, so you don't see it happen much anymore. Baseball, it's kind of expected. I think in hockey, it's a little bit expected too. In football, you almost never see that.
No, hockey don't come off the bench.
Oh, hockey don't, I guess.
No, baseball does, though, because baseball, they don't throw punches.
Yeah.
They're slap fighting at best.
I'm wondering, when's the last time that's even happened in the NFL? And at the same time, nobody will know what Lynch's true intentions were, but I think it's swaying more towards he was there to protect Peters, not so much to break up the fight, and I'm going to say this, not so much to protect Derek Carr. I don't think Lynch was out there because he was pissed off that Carr got hit. Lynch was out there to protect his boy, which was Marcus. I quoted an article. I posted an article earlier this week that talked about their relationship growing up in Oakland together. Lynch and Peters both grew up in Oakland. Peters would attend Lynch's games as a kid and his camps and stuff like that. When Peters was at Washington playing his college football, he would often stay at Marshawn Lynch's house when he was on the Seahawks. So they have a long-standing relationship that's family. And I get that, right? Marshawn Lynch refers to him as his cousin. And an earlier article this week by the Raider Ramble, by the Ray Leonard Espuria, he pointed out that, family is family. And at one of the last lines about the Marshawn Lynch thing, he states, they are family, tight-knit, and super close. No way was Beast Mode going to stand by idly and watch Peters get stomped by Kelechi Osemele and the other offensive linemen. Family comes first, is what Ray says. But I would disagree, Murph. And you know who else would disagree? Jack Del Rio, who said so today on the Jim Rome Show.
This kind of thing, there hasn't been a lot of dialogue, between he and I on this. Obviously, it occurred. The only thing that was said was you can't blanking go out on the field like that, and that was really it. He was tossed after that. I've not spoken to him. We'll get back together as a team when we do. If he's suspended, it'll be a while before I get back with him. But if he's here, then we'll have a chance to talk. The biggest thing for me is, I'm all about the team, doing whatever's best for the team, and that has to come first. And I think he went outside those lines in that instance the other night.
Jack, I think you made that pretty clear, right? You can't go on the field no matter what. Is there any issue as to why he went on the field? Was there any concern in the locker room that was he out there to have his quarterback's back, or was he out there to protect his cousin? Does it matter why he went on?
Yeah, it does matter, but that's for another time, another discussion.
Has that been reconciled in the locker room?
Well, I'm going to do everything I can to protect our culture. We've got a very strong culture here, so that's what I'm going to fight for.
There you go,
Murf. Strong comments by the coach. More importantly, he did not dismiss the fact that Lynch might have been out there for Peters, and I think that's the biggest thing that you get out of this. And neither did Donald Penn, frankly, when he was asked about it. Donald Penn said that's his boy. We get it. We all understand family first. Obviously, I'm going to choose my wife and my kids any day over the professional football team I root for or my job and stuff like that. But at the same time, Murph, this was different than that. Peters wasn't going to get hurt. He wasn't going to get, when's the last time you've seen an NFL football player really, really hurt from a scuffle? The dude hit Derek Carr after he was on the ground. That's your quarterback. That's your franchise player. That's your difference between being a playoff team and being a mediocre team. What Osemele and Jackson and those guys did, that was warranted. What Lynch did was not warranted. And I think Del Rio felt the same way. And when he says, yeah, it does matter, that's for another time in discussion, that tells me all I need to know about what Del Rio thinks about the situation.
Yeah, not only what Del Rio thinks, but what the rest of the team thinks, right? When you see the way that the line reacted when Carr got hit, that was beautiful. And I think that if there's any of these weird, stupid conspiracy theories,
put it to rest.
It's over now, right? This whole idea of there was, tension between the line and Carr because of who stood and who did not over the anthem thing and all that. Look, that is all you need to see, because all of those guys were all up on the Chiefs and Marcus Peters. And Lynch's whole thing was that, yes, he was going out there to diffuse the situation, and he was going to take Marcus and get him removed. Here's kind of just another way to kind of think of this and where I was going initially with this. I mentioned earlier in the show, my son had his last football game. There was the place that they watched the game was this really cool, really old high school football stadium that doesn't have a track going around it. So it's like the field and then the seats start right away. And there's a little bit of like a concrete, like a cinder block barrier that's not that far from it's like the width of the sideline and then this barrier thing. One of our players was running out of bounds and one of the other kids pushed him way late. And the kid went head first into this concrete barrier on our sideline. So needless to say, it went nuts real quick, okay? The kids grabbed the kid that pushed their teammate. A bunch of them went to look at and the coaches went to look at the kid that got hurt. The rest of them took care of business with this other kid. As soon as they grabbed the hold of him, the other sideline emptied, and it turned into a fracas, like instantly, like within a minute. So thankfully, the coaches and the referees they did a very good job. No one got hurt. They got the kids dispersed quickly. Everybody kept their heads. The parents were great. It wasn't an ugly scene by any means. I got home that night and I asked my son, I go, what'd you do? Because I lost track of him. I said, what'd you do when that happened? He said, Dad, I just started grabbing guys and I just started pulling them off each other. I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I just looked for anybody in another jersey and grabbed them and pushed them away or pulled them off. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's a good job, son. That's a good way to do it. You want to diffuse it, not escalate it. If you go in and you start throwing punches, all you're doing is escalating it. Instead, he was the peacemaker. He just went in and just started grabbing different colored jerseys. Well, that's not different than what Marshawn Lynch did. The difference in this situation, though, is that he went for Marcus Peters. He went and pulled Marcus Peters out. He didn't just go out there to be a peacemaker to try to diffuse the situation. So all that said, all of the wonderful things that we've talked about and we're going to talk about even further as far as the rivalry between the Chiefs and the Raiders, this works completely against all of that. And that is what the biggest issue was, I think, that Raider Nation had. It's the biggest issue that I had with it personally as a fan, was that I get it, it's your fam and all that kind of stuff, but not between the lines and then not until that last whistle blows. And I think nothing was more eloquently stated in terms of that than the beginning of this football game, Sonny. And Ving Rhames did a fantastic opening, and he talked about the hate and the hate between the two teams. And that's not what Marshawn Lynch did. Now, I've edited this thing down. It's pretty quick, but let's listen to what led in to this football game. This is where the mindset of Raider Nation was before this game even started.
If you really feel the need to have hate in your life, well, maybe you've come to the right place. The Raiders and Chiefs don't like each other? Come on now. You don't like your math teacher. You don't like the guy in the office down the hall. Please. Tonight, hate is alive and well. With these two franchises, what makes it real, what makes it matter is the hate. The hate's what's given us games like this, plays like this, in a rivalry that's become legend. And thankfully tonight, the hate continues. So for the next few hours, watch the hate. Embrace the hate. Believe in the hate. And then after the game, how about we go back to putting the focus on love? Sound good?
Now, first off, Ving Rhames completely stole that from Uncle Mark, or at least the people that are involved in the production of that. Our own Uncle Mark came out a couple weeks ago before the Ravens game and had his rant about hate and about how it's incredibly appropriate to have it on the field. And so on the heels of all of that, then you have this thing with Lynch. And I'm going to say one more thing about it. I'm going to kick it back to you, Sonny. Not only did it completely work against what we would like to see out of our players as fans, but there's also another component of Lynch that, frankly, you can call me a hater, you can call me, I don't care what you call me, doesn't matter, because it's what I think, it's how I feel about it, and so deal with it. There is a certain amount of fabrication that's going on with this return to Oakland, and I would encourage you to, Raider fan, the ones that are sticking up for him blindly, don't be deceived. All of this stuff is all to promote reality shows. That's what this is turning into. Don't be deceived, because at the end of the day, I'm a Raider fan and we are Raider fans. And so I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me what your relationship is to that other player on the sideline. He's wearing a freaking Chiefs uniform and I hate the Chiefs and we hate the Chiefs. So it doesn't matter what explanation you want to put to it, what spin you want to put to it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I'm not necessarily over the Marshawn thing entirely, but I'm really close. He's got a game suspension now to deal with, and then we got a bye week, and we'll see what happens when he comes back. But I'm a big fan of Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington right now. I can say that.
I love what he does in the community. I love that he's all about pouring into the community. His heart is what I do for a living. I go to the margins of society where I live with the youth, and I try to bring them into the fold. I go into the detention centers and pray with kids and try to love on kids and encourage them to live better lives outside of substance use and help them work through mental health issues. My heart is Marshawn Lynch's heart for his community. So don't hear me out. This isn't saying I don't respect the man for what he does for the community. This is simply a fan show, and so we're fans of the Raiders, and so really it's not so much what he does for the community that I wonder about. It's what he does for the Raiders. The Raiders have run, I believe it's like 70 outside zone run plays this year. And they haven't really been that effective. That's because of Marshawn Lynch. We ran next to none last year. And that was because we were primarily a different kind of blocking, offensive line blocking attack. And we've changed up our whole entire offense to cater to Marshawn Lynch, and it really hasn't been that effective. Maybe it was coincidental in changing the offense for Lynch and Todd Downing taking over. Maybe it's different under Musgrave. Who knows? But all I can see is the eye test, Murph. The eye test is telling me it's not working great with Lynch. Now, I don't know if he stays in the game, if the game is the same or whatever, but I like Richard. I like Washington. I like when they touch the ball. They're electric. They're fast. They're good catching balls out of the backfield. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is what he did, in my eyes, wasn't good. And the other thing, too, Murph, if that's Justin Houston, or if that's Eric Berry, or if that's another player on the Chiefs getting in a scuffle with our offensive linemen, do you think Marshawn Lynch comes out?
Heck no.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't at all, right? So this had everything to do with his boy, and I get that. There's a part of me that actually respects that. But if this is a playoff game, what if this is a divisional playoff game against the Chiefs? Are you going to do that? You know? And so whenever you're bigger than the team, that's a problem, Marquette King. Whenever a player is bigger than the team that player plays for, that is a problem. That is why Kaepernick does not have a job, and that is also why Tebow does not have a job. Has nothing to do with their quarterback play. Those guys were bigger. They were a media circus, and no team wants to have that. What Coach Del Rio said sums it all up for me. I'm going to do everything I can to protect our culture. I'm all about the team. And if you're not about the team, whatever you do outside, that's great. Keep it up. Keep loving on the community. That's awesome. 100% respect that. But when you're playing for the Raiders, if you're not about the Raiders, then what are you about? And I think Lynch is continually showing us that maybe he's not about the Raiders and he's more about Oakland, his brand, and obviously his boy Peters. No, I think we've spent far too much time on it. If you got one more thing you want to say, go ahead. But
well, I want to ask you something. When it comes to Washington and Richard, I've always kind of been more of a Richard fan. I think that he just his explosiveness and just, I don't know, maybe it's because he gets more touches, whatever it is. I've just always thought that he was more the guy. But this game against the Chiefs, did you notice that Washington had a little extra edge to him, a little another gear, another, you know, like he was just like, I mean, am I crazy there? Did you notice something else kindled in Washington as soon as Marshawn went out? Like he knew that he had a shot to make a name or to make his presence or something.
I mean, I noticed the fourth down run or the touchdown run.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Where he broke like 3 tackles to get in the. I mean, he gave a third effort, not a second effort, a third effort, and that was beautiful. And every time Lynch touches the ball, we're taken away from the growing process for Washington and Richard, who I think are a dynamic duo. I mean, think about this. Think about a gun split formation where you're in shotgun and you have a running back on either side of you. You have Richard on one side, Washington on the other side, Cooper and Crabtree out wide, and maybe you split out Cook or have Cook on the line. You know how much stuff you could do out of that formation? You have to respect both of those running backs coming out of the backfield, sending Cook over the middle, do the backs on out routes, send the receivers deep. Like, that is a nasty formation. But I think the longer we have Lynch there, we delay being able to experiment with formations like that. And so, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But like I said, man, what I hate, Murph, is the bad kid, good kid. I hate when the bad kid takes away from the good kid, but when the bad kid takes all the time away from the parenting of the good kid and all that kind of stuff. And I think the Lynch thing has been talked about enough. The Raiders beat the Chiefs on Thursday night, primetime game. That should be the story.
That should be the story.
Not Lynch. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Not Lynch again.
All that being said, let's hear one more caller talk about Marshawn Lynch. There's a little bit in here. We're going to hear from, we got a couple more to do, and then we'll get a break. So let's go back to Chuck. So we heard from Chuck during the first quarter of the game, and then we heard from Chuck post-game.
Hey, guys. Splatterhead again. That's how you finish a football game. They tried to rob us at the end, and we still nailed it in. No giving up. We came out there, like I said on the earlier call, we came out there and we showed exactly what should have been shown. Sonny, I understand you're upset with Marshawn, but I'm stepping back and I'm looking at this from a whole different perspective. The attitude, getting off the bench, running, yeah, I know. We got to remember the guy's out of his mind, but that's Oakland Raider football. That's the kind of just grit and grime that we saw in the 70s and the 80s. And right or wrong, I think it might have put a fire under these guys. Man, we just beat the Chiefs. We had to do it, and we did it. And they came out there knowing that we had to do it. Anyway, it's 12-something in the morning in New Jersey. I got to get up at 4-something in the morning in New Jersey and go to work. But I'm going to go to work happy. And, hey, we got to keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep grinding, and let's finish this thing out in an unbelievable way. Also, wasn't that the best Thursday night football game that you've ever seen?
In the history of the world.
Thursday night football was awful. That was a game for the records. All right, guys. Take it easy. Go Raiders.
All right, before you jump in, I'm going to read you one quick email because Chuck apparently felt even more remorse. So he had his one feeling in the first quarter, he had his feeling post-game, and then he writes us this the next day, okay, probably from work there when he woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He says, all right, I was overly excited last night. For the record, Lynch was completely out of line. He had the potential to ruin us. I'm still not calling for his head, but that was a jackass move. I don't think he intended to put his hands on the ref. That was incidental. I just think that in his weirdo brain, he thought he was trying to defuse the situation. The dude is clearly a head case, so his thinking is way different than a normal person. I'll say this much. If he doesn't start acting like he's a Raider more than a brand, I'll jump on board with asking for his head. So far, he hasn't brought us anything but negativity, but the team all seems to love him. I'll give him a few more games, but I'm almost there.
Appreciate it, Chuck. He does have that kind of unknown factor about him, much like the Raiders of the 70s, but I have a hard time envisioning Ben Davidson coming off of the sideline to protect the Chiefs player from getting his face decked after knocking into Stabler. You know what I'm saying, Murph? Like, yeah.
The edge, I think Chuck's saying he likes the edge, and I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
get that.
Edge.
I like that.
Yes, but it's totally misapplied. Completely misapplied.
Yeah, no, that was good. Appreciate that's 3. Chuck made himself a made man in one episode.
In 2 different formats.
Yeah. Love it, Chuck.
I'm waiting for my third eye Raven to come in with Chuck's note on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the ongoing dialogue. That's what makes the show fun. That's what makes Facebook and Twitter fun, stuff like that. Me and him were talking a lot this week, so appreciate the feedback and just the comments, Chuck. And it makes you feel like you're not alone watching the games. But you know, at the end of the day, we could be wrong about Lynch. Who knows, man? I don't know the guy. I just know what I see on the field, and I know what I see on TV. I know what I see in these commercials popping up. So we'll see what happens. He could be the greatest thing to ever happen to this team and lead us to a Super Bowl, and I would love the guy for it. He could do something else stupid, flame out, and get kicked off the team in 2 weeks. And you know what? I'll still be rooting for the Raiders. So Lynch isn't going to change my fandom for the Raiders one way or the other. He's going to be a storyline for a few short years in my long lifetime of being a Raiders fan, and I'm not going to let that taint my fandom for the Raiders.
Well
and
said.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well said. All right, let's go to one more. Of course, we've got to check in with the Raider quote hater. Right, we got to check in with Uncle Mark, Uncle Mosh, we call him, the man that invented the on-field hate for the Raiders this year.
I hate the Bills. That's right. Uncle Mosh here, the Raider hater. Why do I hate the Bills? Is it because of OJ? Nah. I'm not even going to go there. Do not get me started talking about the juice. Is it because Marv Levy was their coach in the golden days when everybody knows Marv Levy was wearing Kansas City Chiefs underwear? Skittles suck. And we hate Marv Levy. We all know that we hate the Bills. Why do we hate the Bills? We hate the Bills because they are from Buffalo. That's right. Buffalo gave us wings. That's it. They're like the French. What have the French given us? They gave us fries and the kiss. We had to bail them out of 2 world wars. Come on, don't get me started on that. Let me tell you why I hate Buffalo. Buffalo has the audacity to claim that they have the best pizza. Are you serious? It's not too thick. It's not too thin. According to Travel and Leisure magazine, Travel and Leisure magazine gave Buffalo the nod as the 3rd best city to get pizza. Are you serious? Who reads Travel and Leisure magazine? Let me tell you who reads Travel and Leisure magazine. 49ers fans read Travel and Leisure magazine, and that really ticks me off. I'll tell you what, Raiders fans, you know where you're going. You don't need Travel and Leisure magazine. You know where you're going to eat. You don't need to look it up. Don't tell me in a magazine who's got the best pie. We know who's got the best pie. Bottom line is this. I want to say this about the Bills. They lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls. They're losers. What better reason do we need to hate the Bills than they're losers? Hate long, hate often. Ask the Bills. Embrace the hate.
Embrace the hate, Murph. Embrace the hate.
We are Metallica, and we are here for your Oakland Raiders!
You know why we out here, and we ain't playing around today.
From The Walking Dead to errant Jedi Knights, Raiders fans are a rogues gallery.
All right, Murph, we're going to jump into our little segment called 3 Reasons. 3 reasons why I think the team that I root for, Murph, the Oakland Raiders, will beat the team that you're rooting for this week in the Buffalo Bills.
Now, don't put that on me.
Reasons.
Don't do that. If you're
Are
gonna,
you not saying
no,
how
BS, you're
going to
make me curse. No, I'm talking over you. I'm talking over you, and I'm talking louder, so that makes me right. I'm talking louder, and I'm talking more than you, and that makes me right. So
I don't have voice modulation. I drive a Dodge Stratus.
If you're going to do this thinking segment, you're going to play nice with me, and don't put that SHIT on me, because I don't do that to you, so don't do it back to me.
Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't put that on me,
Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
All right, so Murph's going to tell you why the Buffalo Bills could beat the Raiders.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you why the Raiders will beat the Buffalo Bills.
Thank you.
Murph, why don't you go ahead and start?
All right. First off, number 1, Shady McCoy, man. LaShawn McCoy is having a heck of a season for the Buffalo Bills. And, you know, the Buffalo Bills haven't been to the playoffs since 1999, so they've been for a while now one of those teams that's flown under the radar. One of the most exciting things to happen in Buffalo in recent history was Terrell Owens coming to town, right? If you remember that. Like, it just really hasn't been a lot in Buffalo. And the way that they jettisoned but a lot of their star players, you know, Zach Brown, Gilmore, Darby, right? There's so many players that left out of Buffalo. It seemed like they were in a rebuilding type year. And then here they are playing well, and LaShawn McCoy is having a fantastic year. Now, we know in the past what has happened when Raiders play running backs like LaShawn McCoy. Okay, Jamal Charles, anybody? Right? When they have those quick out of the backfield type guys that can catch passes, make you miss, take off, right? That the Raiders have struggled in the past with that. I think Navarro Bowman is going to go a long ways in helping us with that. I think that the Raiders will probably play wide. They'll probably get safeties outside a little bit, try to funnel everything back into the middle, and let Navarro Bowman go to work. That's what I would assume is going to happen. And because if they don't, then Shady McCoy could potentially have a very, very big day, and that is a big-time problem for the Raiders, and that would lead to the Buffalo Bills possibly maybe having a chance to win this football game.
Okay. I can respect that. My number 1 reason why I think the Raiders are going to beat the Buffalo Bills is we all heard about the Buffalo Bills defense, how the Buffalo Bills defense was supposed to be really good. They're supposed to be really great. They're supposed to, you know, be the flavor of the year, yada, yada, yada. That's what made them awesome. Their offense wasn't so great, but their defense was phenomenal. Well, Murph, Jameis Winston just went and played at Buffalo, a warm weather team, went up to Buffalo and threw for 384 yards and 3 touchdowns on said vaunted defense of the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know the Tampa Bay got weapons. I know they have weapons, right? They got Evans, they got Jackson, they got some weapons over there. But I got to think the Raiders have a little better weaponry, if you will, a little better arsenal than the Bucs. And, you know, I may be biased in saying this, but I think Derek Carr is better than Jameis Winston. So if Winston can go in there and throw for close to 400 yards and 3 touchdowns on Buffalo, and they almost won. They only lost by 3 points. I got to think Carr, after getting his groove back, much like Stella against the Chiefs, I got to think he's kind of licking his chops. You know, it seems like Downing opened up the playbook. Carr was Carr, Cooper was Cooper, and everything's okay again in Raiderland. After watching Jameis put up that many yards against the Bills, I'm kind of eager to watch Carr pass all over this Bills defense.
Well, that leads perfectly into my second reason how the Buffalo Bills could possibly maybe have a chance to win this game, and that it would be not only the play of their defense, but a play of their secondary. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch Tre'Davious White play yet this year, but, as I mentioned, the Bills let go Gilmore and Darby, their 2 starting corners from last year, and drafted White out of LSU, and the kid is a stud, man. He's having a great year. He's a real physical corner, gets up in guys' faces. He tries to make plays on the ball and has a tendency to, come in there with that peanut punch. Remember Peanut Tillman from the Bears made that swat at the ball so famous where he came in and punched that thing loose. Well, old Tre'Davious White did that once this past week. He got a pick against the Broncos, which, picking off Trevor Siemian isn't the hardest thing in the world to do, but he did it. He did it a heck of a lot more times than the Raiders have done it so far. So, kid's a gamer. And so with that type of a physical corner, I don't know if he's the kind of guy, I don't know enough about him to know if he, if he shadows a certain wideout or if he plays one side of the field or whatever that may be. But, we saw Cooper have a resurgence last week, but even then he had some drops. There were some key passes that Cooper was still dropping. Well, if he's matched up to a super physical guy like Tre'Davious White, that could be a heck of a fun matchup to watch. And if White gets the upper hand and plays well, then that could be a long day for Cooper or maybe even Crabtree. I think Crabtree's probably the better matchup in terms for the Raiders, but we'll certainly see. But if Tre'Davious White and the rest of that Buffalo secondary has a good day, that's definitely a way that they'll have a chance to beat the Raiders.
I see your reasoning, and I raise you this. While it would have been fun to watch the, homecoming, but not really homecoming because he's from Oakland, but he played in Buffalo, it would have been fun to see Marshawn Lynch go against his former team. Would have been fun to see the reaction. All that would have been cute and would have been, part of the pageantry, if you will, of the NFL game there against Buffalo. The college has lots of pageantry, Murph. Does the NFL have pageantry? I'm not sure. But he's not playing. He's suspended.
Niners do, but it's usually in the stands.
Ew, give me an avocado sandwich. And so, he's not playing. I think that's good. I think for whatever reason, we tried to switch up to a zone style running to fit Lynch's style. Now Lynch, he's not bad, right? I think he's number 4 in the league in making guys miss for players under 100 yards or something like that. So he's good. He still got it a little bit, right? You still see those flashes. But at the same time, I think we've catered too much of the running game to fit his need. And this team is a pass-first team. That's just who we are. And then we run, kind of like the Patriots do when they're playing back. And so without having him in the game, we're not going to run all of these outside zone runs that we've been doing. Austin Gale, good friend of the show, Austin Gale from Pro Football Focus, he pointed out the Raiders ran 6 power or counter runs in week 1 through 6, and they ran 7 power counter runs against Kansas City in week 7. Now, part of that could have been watching the Steelers do to Kansas City what they did on Sunday. They run that counter play like nobody's business, partially because Le'Veon Bell is so patient in before he hits the hole, right? He sits back, he watches what happens, and then he hits it. With Lynch, we kind of catered to that outside zone, inside zone running game that he likes, but with Rashard in Washington, we don't have to do that. So I think we're going to see a lot more of what we saw last year without having Lynch starting as a running back. And I think that makes our offense better.
All right, last one I got for you is home field advantage, Sonny. What's the last, I think, the clinching reason why the Buffalo Bills will have a chance to win this game? Ralph Wilson Stadium in Buffalo. We've talked a lot about the surroundings of the game tonight for what it's going to be like for the Raiders. And for the fans, frankly. And it's a tough place to play. That is a killer home field advantage. Why? Because Buffalo's not a destination city. What is? Nashville is a destination city, right? So people want to come to a game. They want to watch their Minnesota Vikings play, and then they build a vacation around it. It's going to be what it's going to be like for Vegas when the Raiders move to Vegas. People are going to go to the Raider games and then build a vacation around it, right? Well, there is no vacationing in Buffalo. You don't build a vacation around Buffalo. You can maybe squeak in a run to Niagara Falls, but at the end of the day, the only people that are typically going to Buffalo Bills games are Buffalo Bills fans, and that creates a very, very good home field advantage for them. So it's going to be tough for the Raiders, not only for the fan home field advantage, but it's going to be probably a little chilly. They're going to be all the way on the East Coast, right? All the way on that time zone where they've struggled. They've done better, but we saw what happened when they went to DC this year, right? So it is a long way to go. You're playing 3 time zones away. So I think that is definitely going to be something that works in the Bills' favor and that they could take advantage of and could possibly maybe be a chance for them to win this football game.
I see you, home field advantage, Murph, but I am going all in on a man that I was severely questioning a couple weeks ago. Winning really does solve everything. Todd Downing opened up the playbook, Murph. He opened up the playbook. How can you hate Todd Downing? He opened up the playbook. He listened to our show. He listened to everybody.
Huge fan of the show. Huge fan.
Several weeks.
No. You and I were singular in thought that Todd Downing needed to change his offense. And clearly he listens to our show and paid attention.
Thought that.
Nobody else thought that at all. No one else had that.
He opened up the playbook. We watched Carr do play action to Cook. We watched him throw it downfield to Cooper. We watched him just do all sorts of fun stuff that we've been hoping he was going to do, and he did it. So now the question is, was the Kansas City game the exception, or was that the changing, and the new rule is playbook is opened, we're throwing it often, and get ready? You know what I'm saying? I kind of got to think it's the second. It's the latter. It's Carr's healthy. Carr and Downing are on the same page. Let's get it. There was a point in the game after the Raiders stopped the Chiefs. We knew we were getting the ball back with a couple minutes left, and Carr and Downing went up to each other and they high-fived each other, and Downing said, "Let's go." And I was like, sweet. That was kind of fun. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, we're down there and we're winning the game. I gotta think momentum is on the Raiders' side. We had the 4-game skid. Maybe we grew together. Who knows? The issues are beyond us or behind us, and it's go time. It's go time, and it's gonna be fun. I think Downing is comfortable. I think now he knows what he can do, what he can't do, what he should do, what he shouldn't do, and hopefully it only gets better from here.
I think you're right, and I think that the Raiders are going to run away with this one. I think that this could. Well, actually, I'm going to back that up. Let me say, I don't think they're going to run away, but I think this has the potential to be a 2-score game on this. If the offense clicks against the Bills the way that it did against Kansas City is by all measures, personnel-wise, a better defense than the Buffalo Bills, and so give me the Raiders by 2 scores. I'm going to say 31-20 Raiders.
I'm going to say 1,400-7.
You're listening to Raiders Fan Radio with Sonny and Murf, a podcast by Raiders fans for Raiders fans.
We've come to my favorite segment on Raiders Fan Radio. It's called The Black Hole of the Internet. It's my favorite segment because after this segment, I get to go eat dinner. You see, here at Raiders Fan Radio, I race home from work, and Murph, the slave driver that he is, doesn't give me no time to eat food. In fact, I had to eat a Pop-Tart in between the interview we did and the regular show. So as Murph starts to ramble on about the black hole of the internet, I'm thinking what I'm going to eat for dinner. And I couldn't be more excited. So let's get into it. Murph's Black Hole of the Internet.
Murph's Black Hole of the Internet.
A journey that begins where everything ends.
Sonny, we could create an entire black hole of the internet segment based on the conversations we have before we start the show about how we're not going to go 2 hours. But hey, we love Raiders football. We love talking about Raiders football. So thank you for listening, and thank you for hanging in there with us. I am going to keep this one brief though, because it is post midnight here in the Central Time Zone. It is getting late, so I'll keep it brief. But I thought that there was something really cool that happened last week, and it really came to fruition this week, and that was the signing of Navarro Bowman to the Raider defense. And, aside from all of the amazing on-field play that we've already seen a glimpse of and are going to expect from him going forward, but his leadership in the locker room, that presence that we've needed, that role that's going to now be filled that Charles Woodson left. This is one of my favorite signings for the Raiders in a long, long time. So all that said, we know where he came from, right? He's a Niner. We don't like the Niners. We hate the Niners. And there's been a lot of players that have come to the Raiders from the Niners that, frankly, Sonny, I've had a problem wrapping my fandom around. Because Navarro Bowman is such a perfect fit for what the team needs, and knowing his disposition and his mentality and his work ethic and leadership and all those wonderful things, it's really made it easy. The fact that he's a Niner really doesn't bother me, not nearly as much as some of the others. So let's go ahead and look at the Murph's Black Hole of the Internet here, which really didn't have to dig that far, and look at some of, there's a lot of players that came to Oakland from San Francisco. There's only a handful that went the other way. But Sonny, give me one or two guys maybe that stand out to you as former Niners that became Raiders. And really then my follow-up to you would be, and which ones of them were you happy about? Which ones did you feel good about, like we feel good about Navarro Bowman?
None, Murph. None of them. That's why I can't play fantasy football anymore, or even Mutt for that matter. I hate all of them. But there's a couple that make me cringe, and there's a couple that I'm like, I'm cool with that one. One time, I think I was getting ready to go to a game down in Oakland and going to the airport, and I see a guy in a Raider jersey from like down the hall there or whatever at the airport. And I go, oh, sweet, man, Raiders fan. I go walking up to him. It's a freaking Jerry Rice jersey, dude. I'm sorry. Don't buy a Jerry Rice Raiders jersey. Are you kidding me? That's like buying a Montana Chiefs jersey, if you will. It just doesn't make no sense to me. So obviously, Jerry Rice. Then you got Romanowski. But you know what's the problem?
That one was hard. I still don't like that one.
Those two guys, they don't consider themselves Raiders, right? I hate how we've coined Romanowski because he works for 95.7 The Game, whatever he does, as like the Raider guy. But he was a Bronco and a freaking Niner, right? It's like, come on, So there you go. Romanowski, I think Matt Millen, did he play for both squads? Jerry Rice, obviously Crabtree and Bowman. So those are guys on top of my head. Ronnie Lott, I could stomach that a little easier. But those are the guys on top of my head.
Yeah, you mentioned Matt Millen. He went the other way. He's sort of Nnamdi Asomugha, but I'm with you. Romanowski's one I never liked. I still, again, I can't get my brain around that one. Randy Moss played for both teams. Of course, he was a Raider first.
He played for everybody.
He played for everybody though. Roger Craig, we kind of caught him at the back end of his career. And then Rod Woodson. Rod Woodson was a Niner late in his career. Woodson was with the Niners first. And that one I did feel good about because that was a big deal for the Raiders. To have Woodson and Woodson in the secondary and all that, that was great. But so Plunkett, right? Plunkett, I think I wasn't.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So, but I was a little kid. Like 4. So I don't remember Plunkett as a Niner. I remember him as a Raider.
He wasn't there a long time, was he? He wasn't there a long time with the Niners, was he?
2 years, so 76 and 77.
So he played longer for the Raiders.
Yeah, much, yeah, 79 to 86 he wore Raider gear. So feel good about that one in retrospect, but because it wasn't around. But my favorite, and I think very, very underrated as a player, or at least unheralded as a Raider, is Charlie Garner. Charlie Garner, when you look back at the highlights of what he did, and even if you just remember it, because it wasn't that long ago, we're only talking about the early 2000s, he was freaking awesome, man. And that dynamic of that running game with him, and then you add in Zach Crockett for short yardage and John Ritchie and all that was an awesome freaking running game we had back then. And I love Charlie Garner, and I never thought of him, as a Niner. He was, I get it, but I really I embraced him a lot when he came over. But so I would say he's my favorite out of all of them. But then where we really get the funnest one of this, then the black hole of the internet, is that we've had all this exchange between these players. There's other ones too that we haven't even mentioned, Harbaugh and Tom Rathman, and, there's a bunch of others. But the one I thought was the most fun, all this said, the last guy that was a Niner, became a Raider, Navarro Bowman, and who hired him?
Reggie McKenzie.
Yeah, he also was a Raider and a 49er. So now, and you never think of that, because McKenzie was known as being a Raider, right? He played from 85 to 88 as a Raider, and then he was out of football. He was out of football for 3 years. And then he came back in 1992, and for 2 games, he had a cup of coffee with the 49ers. So technically, Reggie McKenzie, our general manager, was a Raider and a Niner. So there you go. There's Murph's Internet Black Hole.
Interesting. Nice job. It'd be interesting to think who was the most successful Niner player to come over and play for the Raiders.
Hopefully it's Navarro Bowman.
Well, I guess you could say Plunkett was.
Yeah, 2 Super Bowls, right? He's the only guy that's got 2 rings, because even all those other guys that came in the 90s and 2000s and all that stuff.
Rice got close without the early team.
Well, Rice did, and Woodson did, and Romanowski, and all those guys got close.
That's true, yeah.
But they were all kind of part of the same thing. Charlie Garner. I mean, they were all kind of part of the same team, right?
Yeah. I gotta think Crabtree's been one of the most steady, though. I don't know what Crabtree's numbers are off the top of my head, comparing him to what he did in San Francisco and stuff like that, but Crabtree seems like he's balled out just consistently for the Raiders, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we talked about earlier the consistency of his play, and I didn't even mention him in the black hole, but yeah, that's definitely one. I mean, and he came over in his prime too. That's the other thing, is that, like, a lot of these guys, while they were still good players, I used to always joke about Jerry Rice that, he may lost a step, but he was already 3 steps ahead of everybody else. So it doesn't matter if he lost a step. You know what I mean? He's still great. But we caught him at the tail end of his career, and you look at Woodson and Woodson Rod, and you look at Romanowski, and you look at these guys. We caught him at the tail end of their careers. Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, all these guys. We're talking about like the last couple of years in the league they played with the Raiders. We caught Crabtree right in the middle of his prime. Like, he's still probably a couple of years away, don't you think, before he starts his decline, Sonny? Like, he's still kind of right in the middle of it, right?
Well, he spent 6 years in San Francisco, and he's been 3 years in Oakland. This is his 3rd year. He's 30 years old. But it's interesting, looking at his stats, the most touchdowns he caught in San Francisco was in 2012, when he had 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. He did that the first year for Oakland. He had 922 yards and 9 touchdowns. Last year, he had 1,003 yards and 8 touchdowns. And this year, Murph, he's already at 6 touchdowns, which he only did twice in San Francisco. He did 6 in 2010 and 9 in 2012. So purely from a touchdown perspective, he's enjoyed the Raiders a lot more than San Francisco. Looking at his career, if he spends another 3 years in Oakland, he'll have split his time 6 years in San Francisco and 6 years in Oakland, and he's on pace to break all of his numbers that he had in San Francisco. In fact, while in San Francisco, he got 26 touchdown catches in 6 years. He has 23 through 2.5 years in Oakland. And Murph, isn't it fitting he's on the Raiders, because we were supposed to take him in the draft. Yep. Remember that?
Yeah.
Who did we get? Hayward Bay? Was it Hayward Bay?
Yeah.
Because he was faster.
Thanks,
but remember Crabtree coming out of Oklahoma State? That guy caught everything. That was that Mike Leach offense that was just ridiculous, and Crabtree just balled out, and we freaking got Hayward Bay, who could beat anybody in a foot race, but couldn't hold on to anything once he got by you.
Yeah, he's catching fake punts for the Steelers. Did you see that play?
Yeah. So it's pretty cool that I think that's the coolest story about Crabtree, is that this is the guy a lot of us wanted, and he still found a way to the team, It's cool. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's great. And hopefully we'll see some of that continued success, and then of course we'll see what Bowman does. I think Bowman is just gonna ball out. I think that he's clearly his best years are already behind him, but again, he's one of those guys that I don't even think he's lost a step yet, but it's probably coming, and probably only coming because of injuries. If he hasn't, because he's sustained some major injuries. And
remember the leg? Remember the leg?
Oh, terrible. And that shortens career spans. You know what I mean? That there's no way around it that is going to shorten up your career. But so anyways, I think we got a lot to look forward to, and heck, we'll take them. You know what I mean? Like, Niner fan, they can come at us all they want and be like, oh, you take our cast, oh, you take, yeah, okay, thanks. We got a lot more wins than you. I could care, you know what I mean? Like, as a fan, like, I don't care where these guys come from. Bring us to good play.
We have more wins in a 4-loss season through week 7 than the Niners fans have fans in their stadium for games.
Oh, isn't that terrible, right? You can't.
Anyway, this is turning into the black hole of the ramble.
All right.
All right.
Go now. Get us out quick before we get 2 hours.
Thanks for Murph, you ever think about, no, just kidding. Okay, thanks for tuning in. RaidersFanRadio.com. T-shirts will be up for sale this weekend. Hopefully by this weekend, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can find all of our podcasts, all of our videos, all the Facebook videos we've done, and the T-shirts will be cool. Find us on Facebook. We both have a page. I'm sorry, we both have a profile. Murph, Raiders Fan Radio, Sonny, Raiders Fan Radio, as well as our fan page, Raiders Fan Radio.
But like that, and, go to the fan page. That's where we need the love. Like our fan page.
Go like the fan page. Yes. And then on Twitter, Murph he quickly convinced me to join Twitter as my own personality because of my hateful tweets about the Lynch situation during the game, in which I cost us a very good follower. So my bad. But on Twitter at SonnyRFR at Coach Murph 45.
Actually, I changed it. It's just _Murph now. Keep it nice and simple.
Oh, there you go. _Murph on Twitter. Good stuff. Like the interaction over there. And appreciate once again Jim J. Thanks, Jim J, for joining Raiders Fan Radio. Go to the Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion happening this weekend, the 28th at Soho Bar, and the game day is at down the Yellow Brick parking lot or something like that. Follow Yellow Brick Road to the parking lot just south of Lot 1. And go to the Facebook page, Raider Nation Buffalo Invasion, for all your information about where to go for the game. Murph, hopefully next week we continue our winning ways and we come back with a happier tone. And appreciate all the callers. Again, if you're going to call the number, it's 909-345-3346. 643-3543-909. Ooh, that was pretty good, huh? Make sure you leave your name and number.
What was that?
It was backwards, off the top of my head.
Dang, that was pretty good, man.
I know, huh? Make sure you leave your name, where you're calling from, leave your name and stuff like that. Really appreciate that. Appreciate all the love we're getting. And, awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Anything else, Murph?
That's all I got. We got to go to bed.
All right. As always, Raider Nation, wherever, forever.
See you, bye.
Yeah, like how Bruce Jenner used to be. No tease. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.